Welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about Edelkrone's JibOne, the full setup. This sucker's like, I got everything that you could possibly want with the JibOne. So let's go through the components first, and then I'll jump into how I use it, what I like about it, the pros and cons, and then we'll go from there. So for this section, I don't want to go through and talk about how to set up the whole system. You can see as I do it, but I do want to mention kind of some of the things that I enjoy about the system as you set it up. I like to distribute the weight on the jib as I build it, so I kind of add weights as I go along. So I'll add a weight on one side, add the head, then add some more weights, add the camera, and finish up the weights on the end. I do appreciate that they allow you to put the camera on an under or over sling for the head, which is awesome. So when using the Head Pro, I always make sure that all the tension points on the Head Pro are tightened before I attach it. You can use your Allen keys and just make sure that you tighten down those tension points to make sure they're not overly tight, but tight enough that you can move it decently, but it still gives a little effort to move it. The weight mechanism is genius on this thing. That the way that they click in and screw in is perfect and it's awesome. I love it when I'm changing to different rigs or different cameras. It's really easy to just take weights off or add weights on and then move the weights up and down wherever you need them. It's brilliant. And then again, make sure all your batteries are attached before you balance it. The tension knob on the back is super important. It's one of my favorite features of the whole thing, is be able to loosen the tension completely so that the jib will move freely on its own. That way you can tell if it's balanced or not. But make sure you tighten that back up before using it, otherwise the jib won't move. Then you plug them in, turn them on, all your systems, and you're set to go. So it gives you on the top all your indicators in terms of batteries. I got batteries on everything. We've got 1 billion batteries now. You have your pan tilt for the head and then the pan tilt for the jib. So you can do it this way, the manual, through the app, or you can do the jib, go down, go up. Honestly, who cares, right? Who cares? But Micah, what makes this system so dope compared to other systems? That's a great question, Micah. You know what? It's being able to move it with your hand, okay? This is the best part of the whole system. Right here. I can do this, get my focus. The only thing you can't do by hand is the focus. Click it, and you go down, and you're like, oh, look. I want to go here, and the focus is going to be way closer. And then click it. And now it has the 2 points. So fast. So incredibly fast. I love that about this system. Is once it's set up, it's so quick. It's just butterly smooth. It's so great. The one thing I will say is for each lens, make sure you calibrate the focus. That's the one thing I've noticed that's consistently jitters on this thing, is the focus. So you just go into settings here, and you go into device settings and focus module calibration optimizer, mouthful, very fun. And you just go through the on-screen prompts for it, and then it will calibrate your follow focus. Here, I'll just do one more. Look at that. So easy, so simple. I love it. And then I can go into sequence, which is like my favorite function in the whole thing. And I can have it go through multiple keyframes, which is super sick. It's super sick. All right. Hey Micah, how sick is it? I already said it was super sick. And then we hit play, and here it goes. It's gonna go to each one of its keyframes, and it'll play through. And I'll let it play while I'm talking. Honestly, I am very impressed with the whole setup. Who's this setup meant for? I think this setup is perfect for people who want to do product photography. Cool. I like product photography. Me too. They kind of advertised it like, oh, you can shoot a wedding with this and stuff. I don't know. Lugging this thing around at a wedding doesn't seem very practical to me. I could see it using it for like visual effects shots and something. It does nail the spot each time, which is great. But honestly, this is a master king for product stuff. Like if you're shooting product stuff, Boy, piano, whatever. Super duper. This is great. So it does have two locking mechanisms. It has the lock for the jib, which the jib lock isn't my favorite. Sometimes it slips and goes in. You can pull it out and kind of make sure it's out good. And then to get it locked in, you can just jam it in and now it's locked. And then I love that they added that same function to the head or PanPro. Gosh, their names are so confusing. Anyway, the PanPro has a locking function as well. It has different spots on it that you can lock into and then lock it. The other thing I noticed with the system, and nitpicky thing, is I don't feel like the bubble on the JibOne is very accurate. It takes a lot to make it feel like it's off. But the thing I love is with this movement now, with the extra pan, I never have to use this kind of obnoxious unscrew thing to move it, like to get the sideways moves and stuff. I can just use my pan, baby. What up now, sucker? First gen product from Edelkrone usually aren't very great, but I have no issues with this jib. The only issue I've had is when it's a little overweight, or if you go too fast, what will happen is you'll have this little tiny jitter bounce at the end of your move. So I just fix that by lowering the weight up here and then moving it slightly slower. I don't usually go over like 80% if I'm planning on using the full move. If I just want the middle part of the move, I'll crank it up to 100. The one thing I will recommend if you're getting anything Edelkrone is get ready to tweak a lot. If you enjoy tweaking a lot, you'll like Edelkrone a lot, because it does take a lot of tweaking, a lot of just making sure everything is well balanced and put together before you shoot. So I would recommend, I always set it up at least the night before just to make sure everything's perfect, and then give yourself some extra time if you're going on set to set this up to make sure everything is perfect. Typically what I've done is I set it up and then I'm doing mostly product stuff like I said before, so I'll leave it set up and I'll just leave it set up the whole time. The nice thing is you can really easily just, oh, there goes a battery. So typically I like to run it with it underslung personally, especially when you're doing product shots. I like getting lower. However, you can turn it the other way as well, so you can have it both. Also, they pan just fine with the remote. I do have the Edelkrone remote, but the Edelkrone remote only allows for 3 poses and you can't do a sequence of those poses. So I prefer to use the app if I'm doing a lot more complex moves. And a lot of the times actually I find myself needing to do more than like one move. You'll see the shot that I did with Baby Yoda. That was 6 different keyframes, 6 sequences, and kind of meshed together to make it look like a seamless sequence. All right, there's one thing that I wanted to talk about, and I realized as I was editing this together, I missed a big piece of what makes this system awesome, and that is target mode. If you've watched my videos in the past, I've complained about Edelkrone makes you set it up. There's a lot more setup and stuff. They got rid of all that, which is awesome. So getting it to start using right away from the app is super fast now. But if you want to use target mode, you do have to go through the whole calibration of making sure your lens is calibrated, it knows exactly the marks on it and all that. So when setting up your target mode, you need to make sure you follow the on-screen prompts, which means putting the camera in a straight position like it shows, seeing how far out your camera is on both the jib and the head, and then ensuring that it's properly balanced. And then of course there's lens adjustment. I won't go through that, you can look that up. But what I do want to talk about is how amazing target mode is. And it's super simple. I already have 2 positions set up on the jib. So here's my first position. It goes up. And as you can see, the head isn't moving. It's just the jib. If I go to my second position, you'll see the same thing. The head doesn't move, it's just staying static. But if I come in here, and what I can do is I can decide and pick my targets. So I take my camera and I aim it at the target. Now don't worry about focus. That was my biggest mistake the first time, as I tried to pull focus to it. You don't have to do that, it calibrates itself. How? I don't know. I have it where I want it. I just take the Apple logo and we'll make that the middle. And I hold it down and it'll say slide away. So you move it away, and then it says aim at target again. So aim back at the target. There we go. And hit done. And that's it. Now it's locked. So now, if you notice, anywhere I move it, it locks on. And for this system, that is just game changing. Because that way, when I do my move between the 2 points, it'll automatically track exactly the object that I told it to. So if I go to B, my initial point, you'll see that it does the full move and it's tracking along with it. It does take quite a bit longer to set up, but in terms of like getting way more dynamic shots, it does a really awesome job. The other thing you can do, you can set a second target. If you notice when I close this lid, it moves my target slightly. So let's say I want to close this product and show the lid. So we're gonna program it again. So now if I go to my do moves, I know I kind of put this in a weird position, didn't I? But whatever. Now you can see it moves nice and smooth between following the lid. So if I have this open though, you'll see that it's off from where my original one was. If I click on the other one, it will move to that. Now here's the beautiful piece of the system is while I'm going back and forth between these 2 points, at any point I can decide, okay, that's nice. I'm going to close the lid now though, and I'm going to move to the other point. And it gets it. So you can switch between all of your different poses, your targets, and you can only have 3 programmed moves on the jib, and you can have 3 targets. But this allows for just incredibly dynamic, really cool shots. It does take quite a bit longer to, like I said, to set up. But once you have it set up, it works great. And they do have a bunch of calibrated lenses already in their lens community, they call it. So you can pull those in. I felt like as I was editing this together, I missed this really important piece of the system, and that is the target mode. And it's incredible. See, when you move it by hand though, you can see like, if you go too fast, it kind of gets a little jittery. If you program it, then you can get, you know, those nice, perfectly smooth shots. Especially once you added the extra PanPro onto it, then the target mode just becomes that much more impressive. Because I just couldn't believe that it works with the movement side to side as well as up and down. So like, look, it's getting it. And it's getting it. It's crazy. It's so cool. Anyway, I needed to add that little piece in. Hey man, hey Micah, do you have anything else to add? No, I think the only thing is subscribe to my channel, because if you don't, actually it doesn't really matter if you subscribe or not. Subscriptions mean nothing. At least that's what I told myself. Cool. So you want everyone to subscribe and comment and give a thumbs up and share and comment again, and then give it the dislike button twice, and then comment again. Yep, do what he said. That sounds great. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. You're so great. I love you all.